President Assad of Syria. Who's bad? He's a very nasty guy who got so nasty his people rebelled, and the rebels, who are good, started winning. Hooray! But then some of the rebels turned a bit nasty and are now called Islamic State, and they're definitely bad. And some continue to support democracy, so they're still good. The Americans, who are good, hold your comments until you've heard everything. The Americans, who are good, started bombing Islamic State, who are bad, and giving arms to the Syrian rebels, who are good, so that they can fight Assad, who is bad, which was good. Oh, by the way, there's a breakaway state in the north of Syria ran by the Kurds who want to fight Islamic State, which is a good thing. But the Turkish authorities think they're bad, so we have to say they're bad while secretly thinking that they're good and giving them guns to fight Islamic State, which is good. But that's another matter. Anyways, getting back to Syria. So, President Putin, who's bad because he invaded Crimea and the Ukraine and killed lots of folks, including that nice Russian man in London with plutonium poisoned sushi, has decided to back Assad, who is still bad, by attacking Islamic State, who are also bad, which is sort of a good thing. But Putin, still bad, thinks the Syrian rebels, who are good, are also bad, and so he bombs them too, much to the annoyance of the Americans, who are good, who are busy backing and arming the rebels, who are also good. Now, Iran, who used to be bad, but now they've agreed not to build any nuclear weapons and bomb Israel, so they're now good, are going to provide ground troops to support Assad, who is bad, as are the Russians, bad, who now have ground troops and aircraft in Syria. So, a coalition of Assad, still bad, Putin, extra bad, and the Iranians, good but in a bad sort of way, are going to attack Islamic State, who are bad, which is a good thing. But also the Syrian rebels, who are good, which is bad. Now, the British, who are obviously good, and the Americans, also good, cannot attack Assad, who is still bad, for fear of upsetting Putin, who is bad, in Iran, good and bad, and now they have to accept Assad might not be that bad after all compared to Islamic State, who are super bad. So, Assad, bad, is probably now good, being better in the Islamic State. But let's face it, drinking your own piss is better in the Islamic State, so no real choice there. And since Putin and Iran are also fighting the Islamic State, that may now make them good. America, still good, will find it hard to arm a group of rebels being attacked by the Russians for fear of upsetting Mr. Putin, who is now good. So they may be forced to say that the rebels are now bad, or at least abandon them to their fate. This will lead most of them to flee to Turkey and on to Europe or join Islamic State, who is still the constantly bad group. To Sunni Muslims, an attack by Shia Muslims, Assad and Iran, backed by Russians, will be seen as something of a holy war, and the ranks of Islamic State will now be seen as the only Sunnis and jihads fighting in the holy war, and hence many Muslims will now see Islamic State as good. Though Sunni Muslims will also see the lack of action by Britain and America in support of their Sunni rebel brothers as something of a betrayal, and they might actually have a point there, and hence we will now be seen as bad. So now we have America, who is now bad, and Britain, who is also bad, providing limited support to the Sunni rebels, who are bad, many of whom are looking to Islamic State, who might actually be good now depending on your point of view, for support against Assad, who is good, along with Iran, who is also good, and Putin, also now unbelievably good, are trying to take the country Assad used to run before all this started. So, there you go. Now you understand everything that's going on in the Middle East.